Have you felt out of place in your own time? Imagine aging in a world which is obsessed with youth, where your soul wants to soar, but your physical body is breaking down. Sailing to Byzantium is W.B. Yeats's poetic escape, but not to a vacation, but to eternity, as well as art and spiritual rebirth. In this poem, he does not only sail across the sea, he sails beyond time. Let's unravel this mystical voyage together. Hello everyone, I am Dr. Riya Datto and I make videos on English literature, literary theories, as well as linguistic topics. If you are new to this channel, I give you a very warm welcome. And if you are already my subscriber, welcome back to my channel. First, let's talk about the little biography of W.B. Yeats. W.B. Yeats was born in Dublin, Ireland. He was a pillar of Irish literary establishment, and he was also a driving force behind the Irish literary theatre. W.B. Yeats was awarded with the Nobel Prize in Literature in the year 1923, and his poetry expressed the actual spirit of Ireland. His early poems were drawn heavily on Shelley, Spenser, and the coloring diction of the pre-Raphaelites. Then he turned to Irish mythology and folklore. His mystical inclinations were informed with Hinduism, theosophistical beliefs, and occult, and all these provided much of the basis of his later poetry. W.B. Yeats was a symbolist poet, and he used elusive imagery and symbolic structure throughout his career. In the year 1913, Yeats wrote the preface of Gitanjali, written by Rabindranath Tagore, and Tagore received the Nobel Prize in Literature for Gitanjali. Yeats contributed significantly in translating several Upanishads from Sanskrit into common English, which was later published in the year 1938. His epitaph was taken from the last line of his last poem: "Cast a cold eye on life, on death, horsemen pass by." The famous poems of W.B. Yeats are The Lake of Innisfree, Sailing to Byzantium, The Tower, An Acre of Grass, etc. This particular poem, Sailing to Byzantium, was published in the year 1927, and it was written when Yeats was at the age of 62. This poem shows the anxiety of old age he was facing, as well as it focuses on his obsession with spirituality, negotiation with physical deterioration in his old age, issues of transience and mutability, solution to escape the death and decay of the natural world. The poem is divided into 4 stanzas, and these stanzas are divided in Roman numericals, and all these stanzas have one common theme and they are connected to one another. So let us look at the poem. Before we look at the poem, we need to know what is Byzantium.
Byzantium was an ancient Greek city that became known as Constantinople later and Istanbul today. Traditional legend says Byzas from Megara, a city-state near Athens, founded Byzantium in 667 BC when he sailed northeast across Aegean Sea. It was mainly a trading city due to its location at the Black Sea's only entrance. The city was taken by the Persian Empire at the time of the Scythian campaign in 513 BC. The location of Byzantium attracted Roman Emperor Constantine I, who in 330 AD refounded it as an imperial residence inspired by Rome itself. After his death, the city was called Constantinople. The combination of imperialism and location would affect Constantinople's role in the nexus between the continents of Europe and Asia. It was a commercial, cultural, and diplomatic center for centuries, formed the capital of the Byzantine Empire. which decorated the city with numerous monuments, some still standing today. With its strategic position, Constantinople controlled the major trade routes between Asia and Europe, as well as the passage from the Mediterranean Sea to the Black Sea. It was a city full of cathedrals, even the houses glowed because of the architecture. In 1453, the city fell to the Ottoman Turks and again became the capital of a powerful state, the Ottoman Empire. The Turks called the city Istanbul and it was officially renamed in 1930. So, for Yeats, Byzantium is a symbol of utopia. When Yeats was writing this poem, it was no more Byzantium. The Byzantium he is talking about is a place belong to the ideal world. The poem is written in the form of a dramatic monologue, and the rhyme scheme is AB AB CC, and the rhyme is octava rima. And if we talk about the major theme and imagery, we have to talk about the modern symbolist movement. Uh, Let us discuss that in some other video. But first, let's ask this question: who is the speaker? The speaker is an old man who is sailing to the city of Byzantium, and he has left behind his own country. Let us look at the poem. The stanza 1 goes like, "That is no country for old men. The young in one another's arms, birds in the trees, those dying generations add their song. The salmon falls, the mackerel crowded seas, fish, flesh, or fowl. Commend all summer long, whatever is begotten, born, and dies. Caught in the sensual music, all neglect moments of unaging intellect." So, in the stanza 1, we see the old man who is sailing towards the ideal city of Byzantium is looking back at his country. Looking back means he is distancing himself, and he is referring the country as that. He is distancing himself from the country. He does not belong to that country. It belongs to the young people. The whole world is served on a platter to the young, customized to their entertainment. It tends to forget how old people negotiate with these things. It is relevant even today. The young people forget that their happiness might look selfish in the eyes of those they neglect. So he is not only talking about humanity, rather the whole nature, which celebrates fertility, fulfillment, and does not care for aging generation. The object of nature is to procreate and expire. There are the references of salmon and mackerel. So, this is the world of nature, which is also a sensual world. The nature does not have a place for an old person who can no more take part or participate in procreation. Animal kingdom is celebrating summer when old men approaching winter suffer in autumn. So summer is equal to the kernel desire here. Here we see that people are so caught up in living and dying that they completely forget to think about things that might outlast their own brief lives. People are enjoying with five senses, and when five senses do not work together, Then they realize the fruitlessness of life. Yeats is contrasting music to monument, mortal to immortal. Aging intellect here is the timeless aesthetic object like art, music, literature. And this young generation of people ignore and neglect all these unaging intellect. Let us look at the second stanza. An aged man is but a paltry thing, a tattered coat upon a stick. Unless soul clap its hand and sing, and louder sing for every tatter in its mortal dress. Nor is there singing school, but studying monuments of its own magnificence. And therefore I have sailed the seas and come to the holy city of Byzantium. So we see that this is the crisis a man feels as he gets older. Here, paltry is useless. The person who is the speaker, his body is wasted. So he is comparing his body to a tattered coat. Tattered coat gives us an image of a scarecrow. So this can be a reference to the wonderful Wizard of Oz. The scarecrow is a character in the fictional land of Oz created by the American author L. Frank Baum and illustrated by W. W. Denslow. In his first appearance, the scarecrow reveals that he lacks a brain and desires above all else to have one. Later, he joins Dorothy in the hope that the wizard will give him a brain. So, according to Yeats, an old man without intellect or a brain is like a mere scarecrow. It can also refer to Bhagavad Gita. As a human being puts on a new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. This is very natural because Yeats, at his age of 22, met at Dublin a young preacher, Mohini Chatterjee. Mohini had translated Bhagavad Gita and introduced Yeats to Vedanta, the Bhagavad Gita, and reincarnation, the concept of reincarnation. So, the only way to survive all these is to have his soul educated and released and celebrated. Here we see the soul celebrates. Why the soul celebrates? Because it senses that it is the time for it to get released. The soul is going to celebrate the qualities in itself. So there is no singing school or instruction booklet for a person to follow. So if you have some magnificence in you, the soul will celebrate that despite the old age. So now the speaker has arrived at Byzantium. He has the feeling that maybe sailing is symbolic of death. He can get the release not in lifetime bound by his five senses, but through death. But the question arises, is Byzantium paradise? He has reached here by getting rid of his mortal dress. To answer that question, let us look at the next stanza. O sages standing in God's holy fire, as in the gold mosaic of a wall, come from the holy fire, burn in a gyre, and be the singing master of my soul. Consume my heart away, sick with desire, and fasten to a dying animal. It knows not what it is, and gather me into the artifice of eternity. So he is addressing the wise man here. Where are these wise men? They are turned into objects of art as the mosaic on the walls of the cathedrals. The sages are saints who have gone through fire and have been purified. He is asking the wise men to come down and guide him, be the singing master in his way of immortality, the music of the soul. We see here there is a mention of a gyre. A gyre is a spiral. He is requesting the sages to spiral down through the time and guide his soul to permanence. This movement of a gyre is like the churning of the ocean, just like when the gods in Hindu mythology churned the ocean for Amrit. He asks the divine power to make his soul rise from his mortal body and guide him in his journey to permanence. He knows that this cannot be possible when his heart is beating, so he wants to give up his heart. His heart is making his body go on when the body has lost its vitality. Here is the mention of desire. What is the desire? The desire is to fill the world with five senses that keeps the person going, that keeps the person away from the ideal world. He is calling his own body of a dying animal. His soul is limited by the burden of the body and connected to the Hindu concept of moksha, where the soul tries to emancipate itself from the body. He knows that there is a peace to be eternal. He knows that he has to turn into an artifact. He cannot remain living and be eternal. So, what is the price? The price is death. Alright, let us look into the next stanza. Once out of nature, I shall never take my bodily form from any natural thing, but such a form as Grecian goldsmiths make, of hammered gold and gold enameling to keep a drowsy emperor awake, or set upon a golden bough to sing to lords and ladies of Byzantium of what is past or passing or to come. So, this here gives us a beautiful picture of that paradise where he is seeing himself turned into an object of art. Once he is out of the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, he does not want to take the natural body. Unlike the romantic poets, he is rejecting the world of nature. In the first stanza, he mentioned that humans have the limitations. They are entitled to the sensual world. He wants to be eternalized as an object of art, which the Grecian goldsmiths make. We have the recurrence of gold and golden here, because gold is also the symbol of something very pure. It does not change over time. It is associated with heaven because heavenly pavements are paved with gold. He wants to be an artifact which would keep an emperor awake. How Shahrazade from Arabian Nights kept King Shahryar awake for 1001 night. He has written I have read somewhere that in the emperor's palace at Byzantium was a tree made of gold and silver and artificial birds that sing. Of course, the golden bird cannot sing, but this is not the song you can hear, but the song Keats wrote about in Grecian art. Heard melodies are sweet, those unheard ones are sweeter. The music you can hear only through imagination. He feels once he is transformed into that bird, he can witness eternity. He will unage. He will be unaging. This is the central concern of any dying person. This image of aging body as a burden is a recurring image. He is associating the elements of Hindu mythology, Vedic philosophy with the Christian elements of resurrection and redemption. Why is it important? It is important because of the rejection of romantic ideal which Yeats himself was dependent on in young days. And it is also important because of the rejection of Victorian ethos, like sea of faith going away with drowning. Some kind of thought is there in this poem also, but he is using expressions never have been used before. He is coining words to talk about the modern world. The modern world is offering no consolation. All he sees around him was violence, greed, and destruction. There is nostalgia and also there is looking forward to something. Byzantium becomes symbol of hope and redemption when everything is falling apart. This poem is our very key to understand Yeats's later poetry. It gives us an idea of how he looked at the changing world and how he looked at his own personal transformation.
So that was WB Yeats' Sailing to Byzantium. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and for more videos like this, keep an eye on my channel. And now I upload short videos also exploring literary topics as well as literary theories in a very small amount of time. Those might be helpful. Check them out as well. Thank you. Bye bye.